Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's been programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Hi, everyone. I'm Andy, and joining me in just about everything is my life partner, Minna.
So we're now officially in July. So summer's here, right? And what do people do in summer?
Oh, they go on vacation or children breaks or sometimes spending time with children.
Breaks. Break from children or break with children?
Sometimes both.
I remember I used to take vacations when we were in school, right? So we used to take the longer vacation in the summers, and that's when during the time I was living in Hong Kong, and that's when we would come visit in the United States. That's when my sisters are studying, and that's when my aunt is. So that's usually a time that we take longer vacations.
Correct. Most of the time is when we visit family from other areas. When we're younger, we don't get really have a choice who to go with. You get stuck with wherever your parents take you.
Whoever pays.
Right. But I remember actually our very first vacation ourselves is we drove down to LA to see your aunt with our cousin. And that's from Vancouver, from Canada, down through San Francisco. And this is like so many years ago. It's like, that's been like 45 years ago or something crazy like that. But anyways, the first time we saw U.S. traffic compared to Canada, I was, oh my God, like everyone's freaking out so fast. And I think, this is awesome. Why don't I move in the U.S.? Because everyone's driving so fast,
So the point being that not because of the driving, the summer is vacation. Vacation's fun. Fun is good for your health.
Yes. And of course, in most areas during summer, we have more sun, right? So this is a great opportunity to get out there because depending on which area of the planet you are, if you're further north or further south, sometimes you don't get as much sun. And if you don't get as much sun, you're not getting as much vitamin D. So this is a great time to go out there, get out some sun, start generating some vitamin D. It's great for mental detox, right? And it's great to lower your cortisol too, like your stress hormone.
Yeah, so when you take a vacation, obviously you're away from all the stressful work and all that. So it's a good time to mentally detox, just to take make sure that your brain take a break, right? So you don't have to be consistently on this fight and flight and freeze mode. So the mental detox is important, and of course, when you are not as stressful, your cortisol drops,
yes,
which actually makes you healthier.
Exactly, and then this is a great time to reconnect with people that maybe you haven't talked with the whole year, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you like those people. Oh, you don't have a choice, sure. But it's the point, if there's people you care about, this is the time you're going to go and visit them and maybe spend a little more time with them.
Exactly. And of course, for those that love camping, and, I'll be honest, we don't like camping. I don't even think we ever done camping. We talked about glamping.
I've done camping.
Oh, you done? Oh, okay, whatever you call it camping. I don't believe you. But anyways, I know this is a great time for a lot of people to go camping. She keeps saying she's going to bring me to these cool glamping, but it never happened yet. So,
well, that's up to me because
I'm
making the decision.
That's right. She's a decision maker.
But it's a time to rejoin with nature. You don't have to go camping. You can just be there and live in a hotel like Yellowstone Park. I did that with my sisters back in the day. That was a good nature trip.
I don't know if that's called camping. Okay.
I
But
can say camping, but that's a different trip.
and of course, I think during summertime, it's time to slow down, right? A lot of times when we're in the work mode, we're always trying to get everything done faster. It's a great time to slow down, start enjoying your meals more, right? Which is better for better digestion.
Yeah, a lot of times when we're working, people tend to eat with the work, so they're
Mhm.
eating it at the desk or something, which is definitely not good for digestion. So when you have the time, when you're in vacation mode, just slow down, really chew your food, and really appreciate the food. And so it better be good food.
Exactly. And summer vacations is a great time to catch up on your sleep. It was really funny because one of my clients was saying that their daughter was going to university, and because they rented like an apartment for the daughter to stay with, the roommate at the last minute didn't show up, and the parents weren't too comfortable with the daughter being alone there. So he said he was there with her together, and he said, "Wow, it was sort of amazing. While he's away from home, there's no distraction. He actually had better sleep, and we have aura rings, and he's tracking that. Wow, everything was better for his health." And I thought that was sort of funny. He's, yeah, well, almost like going back to college. I think, wow, okay, get back to college days with your daughter there. So I thought that any which way you can get better sleep, I think that's a good idea.
I think it was How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
There's an episode
Yeah.
where the couple,
Yeah.
um,
Ted.
not Ted, the friend, the tall friend. with the young.
Yeah.
So they went on vacation.
Yes.
And they checked in the hotel, and the hotel messed up and gave them two single beds.
Yeah.
And they had they were complaining,
Good.
bitching about it, but they had the best sleep of their lives. And that's just because they were able to actually fall asleep.
That's so true. So we don't do our biohacks anymore on the show. We're planning to do that as a separate series, but vacation is a great opportunity to use that as a biohack, right?
Yeah, biohack is, vacation is a way to biohack your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's actually a really good way to lower your inflammation without actually doing anything else differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's great for your brain health because now that you have mental detox, the cortisol is dropping, so you're probably smarter when you're taking vacations.
I love that. And most people, they take a vacation to escape life, right? What do you think a vacation really is for?
I mean, I read a quote. So the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of vacation is not to escape life,
Mm-hmm.
it's to ensure that life doesn't escape you.
Wow.
Right? So vacationing, traveling, it gives you a perspective in life and give you experiences that you don't get unless you actually go and do those things, right? So
I love that. Sounds good. Well, we're going to have an amazing guest today, Julie Wright Halbert. I'm very looking forward to see what she's going to be teaching, because we've been getting a lot of intuitive coaches coming in, which is like opening up so many insights for us too. So we'll be right back after these messages.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being. From the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Why do 98% of beauty enthusiasts rave about coolness? It's all in the blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. Introducing Coolness Pearlescent Face and Eye Serum Cream. This powerhouse combines the antioxidative power of schisandra berries, the glow of pearl powder, and the hydrating wonders of dragon's blood extract. It's like a time machine for your skin, making it radiant, firm, and oh so smooth. Inspired by ancient Chinese traditions and backed by modern nutritional science, this serum cream is perfect for dry, mature, and aging skin. Say goodbye to dullness and hello to youthful radiance. And guess what? For a limited time, you get a free cooling eye cream applicator with your purchase. It's time to unlock your inner glow with coolness. So what are you waiting for? Treat your skin to the best of both worlds today.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. I am absolutely delighted to introduce you to my friend and an incredible person, Julie Wright Halbert. Julie is a powerhouse of wisdom, a transformational life coach, former national educational legal counsel. That's a mouthful. Devoted mother and soulful guide who spent nearly 3 decades advocating for education at the highest level. But behind the titles and accolades, Julie has walked through fire and come out glowing with grace, with grit, and with a profound understanding of life, death, and everything in between. She absolutely adores her 2 boys who are 23 and 26 and live in New York City. In her words, they are her everything. Welcome, Julie.
Thank you. So glad to be here, Christy.
It's wonderful to have you on today. So our topic today is love, loss, and the journey back to you. That's intriguing.
That it is. It's quite a story, quite a journey.
I'm guessing that there's a story there.
There is quite a story there. It's been a journey, honestly. I know.
So how did you kind of get started on this journey?
No, so I was honored, as you shared. I worked for almost 30 years as a national education lawyer and doing work for urban students across the United States. And I was honored to be in that position, but my life completely changed. I would say shattered at the time. I lost my husband we'd been together 25 years and married for 22 years. And he died suddenly within a period of weeks to bile duct cancer, cholangiocarcinoma. So it was December 6, 2018.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would be a shocker for you and your boys.
Oh, absolutely. It was, it's trauma in the sense of that it happened so quickly, and that also just the deep grief. But when somebody dies, I'm writing a book, and one of the chapters are the eternal 3 weeks. But Jim was experiencing, as they were even talking about longevity and disease, but really where his body was losing appetite, not sleeping, sweating, but we didn't know what was wrong, and we couldn't find answers. And it was just extraordinarily challenging for all of us.
So a lot of people would slip definitely into the I'm a victim role with something like that, but I don't get that from you at all.
Yeah, you know what, Christy, it's taken a real conscious, I really believe very strongly in this, and it's really been a very mindful, dedicated day-to-day living to come out of that place of grief and to really consciously embrace life. And so for me, like the message really is coming to living a meaningful, intentional life and every day allowing really to embrace that. And with that, there's been a shifting really of the shedding of the pain to embrace life. So it's really, I think, a lesson for everybody. We all suffer in loss, but it doesn't have to be death. It could be divorce. It could be, unfortunately, an abandonment of a parent at a young age. I mean, the numerous things that provide grief in our hearts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in our circumstance, for my children and I, you know, unfortunately, it was the death of their dad and my husband. And you really have to make a choice. It is absolutely a choice to live.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. I love that empowerment. It's like everything is a choice. And when you shift into, I'm making a choice to do this, it changes everything.
Amen. I mean, it's like, I couldn't agree more, right? Because what it is I always say with my clients, like when we're in soul alignment, when we're living in our truth and you're saying yes, and you're living with purpose, at that point in time, then things start to unfold in the most beautiful of ways. Mm-hmm. And it's been amazing to witness. The people that I've met, the women that I've met, the relationships that I've cultivated, you know, just living and experiencing life with my children and my larger extended family. We have a beautiful family, and I'm so grateful, you know, to my siblings, my parents, and it's just, everybody has been there to lift us up. I was writing something earlier I would love to share. And in the book, I talk about the heartwood of its tree, which is like the core, like the trunk of the tree, like the core. And I talk about my sisters of being tribal in nature. And there are times in our lives we need people to surround us and really to lift us up and to be the roots. And I always, as a strong, independent lawyer, you know, I really didn't lean into others. And this experience brought me to a place where I opened my heart to really accept, to be vulnerable, and to bring myself back to that space of being supported. And I'm so grateful to my family and my cousins and all my close friends that really have been there, as well as my children.
That is such a great example for you to also set for your boys. That it's okay, especially for boys, because it's different for males than it is for females, to the example of that you can lean in and ask for help, and it's okay to be supported.
Absolutely. You know what else I think is really important? I'm so glad you said that, is that I think to be supported too, there's other people in my life that share in supporting them. So whether that's close family, friends, parents, others, and that's something that, like, prior to the death of my spouse, I really don't think that I was as open to. And it really created, like, you know, recognizing that we're a collective consciousness, recognizing that the spirit of others really can share in uplifting them. And they're truly, you know, I might call them we always say our boys, but they're men. They have a startup company, Ohana. They are doing amazing work. And I would say one thing from what you said, I think me being happy, me leaning in to find my joy and gratitude in life has been an example for them to move forward to live their own lives.
Yes, because grief is a very powerful and kind of overwhelming thing, but it is something, I think that I've seen people do this. They get locked into the grief and they can't ever get out of it. And it becomes a thing that actually drives others away. Whereas if you move through it and you do lean in and you accept that, you receive that love and support, you can move through it and come out and find the gift.
I mean, you're touching on like a core of what I believe and also core of the book. So it's like, I call it the beauty through the pain, right?
Oh.
And I believe that we truly move through the pain in order to come out to the light. And that's really through every personal experience that any of us has. That's the miracle. That's really where we get our strength. And it's making an awareness of mindfulness, as whether you're meditating, whether you're journaling, doing yoga, hiking, being in nature, whatever I encourage my clients to do, is that's when you come into contact with your spirit and yourself.
Oh my gosh. You know, how many people, I think I've been guilty of this, of avoiding that. Like, no, I don't want to look at it. But then when you do, it's never as bad as you think. It's never as bottomless. It's never as horrible as you think.
But you know what it is that we have to be like the gentleman that my partner in life now that I'm blessed to have. He always says, you know, we don't grow until we're uncomfortable. You know, until we step into that uncomfortable component, we can't grow through it. So it's necessary to be uncomfortable. It really is, and it's our greatest opportunity to unfold, and it's our greatest opportunity to grow.
It is. I had a friend years ago who used to say we grow best through desperation, not inspiration. And I always remembered that because she's right. That is true. That is a true thing.
Maybe the desperation leads to the inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your life partner. Do you consider your new partner your soulmate, or both your husband and
oh my gosh, you're not going to ask me a hard question right off the bat. He's listening, I'm sure. You know, that's a great question. One, I would say to you, my husband Jim, died at 51. You know, we really could never have been prepared for that loss. I always envisioned him sharing my later years with my family and our family unit, and really just so painful, but so much growth. And Glenn is a gentleman who actually he is a master life coach in neurological intelligence and has worked with trauma and really helped me grow through a lot of my own growth. And I really am so grateful and blessed that he has held space for me when I've been in a lot of pain, and also when I've been allowing me to have the space and time to find my own self. So it's really just a blessing. Again, it comes back to the blessing of actually living, right? Like I know Jim would want me to live, and he really would embrace that. And so in that way, I'm truly blessed all the way around.
Absolutely. Of course he does. He wants you and your boys to live your lives. Well, I'm so curious because you call yourself a transformational soul coach. So I love that. I want to know more about that connection.
Absolutely. So I've spent a good bit of time out in Sedona, and I had the opportunity. Actually, we went on a couples retreat to Sedona Soul Adventures. This is with my current partner, Glenn. And we just had these amazing spiritual guides. So we did work on soul contracts, on your soul purpose. I mean, craniosacral, you name it, shamans working on letting go, in the water, in the middle of the vortexes. All of that was just amazing. But for myself, I started doing a coaching certification program through Sedona Soul Adventures. And I'm certified as a transformational soul coach. So what does that really mean? That means that each of us energetically are spirits, and that's going into seeing what is the divine within connected to the divine without. So if you and I are working together, it's not what are your life goals and outcomes and what do you want to accomplish? It's like, Christy, what's going on within you, and how can your higher self guide you for the choices you want to make in your life today? And that's really, it's very spiritual in nature. It's so different than anything else as far as executive coaching or anything otherwise.
Oh yeah, because, oh my gosh, I'm having chills. I'm sure other people have done this too, like in whatever version of God or spirit or the universe or whatever they choose to call it. I'm a big believer the word isn't the important part. It is always comes down to the connection to your own soul.
Exactly.
And how do you hear that message?
Exactly. You have it 100%. So for me, when I'm working with clients, the whole thing is that I'm a guide, but the guide is for you to guide your own soul to evolve and to grow. And it's as blessed. I've had the blessing of being with other coaches and amazing women that I work with in the coaching field. And we really support each other to grow. And that soul component is where truly, when we take the moment to drop into meditation and to show up in an energetic spiritual way, what can open is completely different than being in that kind of ego external world.
Oh, yes. How many times do we mistake this for this?
Exactly. It's so true, right? But it's not our job. It's not what we look like. It's what we are on the inside. And that energy, when we start, all of us that are in this coaching program, we said, you know what, when you start working with people and I see your soul and I feel your energy, and that's what I connect with, it is a completely different experience than not seeing you. And it's like, I really see you. You know, we've had the benefit of meeting a few times, but like, such a blessing, and you have that connection. And it's amazing what we've been able to do, whether it's TV and a podcast or on a Zoom. The world has really shifted, but we're really able to make that connection.
Yes. And more people are finding connections, real connections that feel authentic, not superficial conversation. So hot out. Oh, there's a weather front. Oh, you know, it's real. I can't stand superficial small talk. So I think that's part of it is.
Well, you know, our society, right? Our society kind of feeds on some of that. And so much of what our identities have been that people have defined who they are by the car they drive or the house they live in or what they wear. But it really, you know, my work is really to bring people back to who they are on the inside and where do they want to go.
Wow. That's, I think that's better than psychotherapy or, I mean, if you're connecting to your soul, I mean, that is not to say, let me just correct myself here. Sometimes you need that. If you need that, get help. If you need psychiatry, get help. But connecting to your soul can never harm you. It can always benefit you in addition.
Right. For sure. And we always want to be, you know, have that sense of recognition that I'm definitely not a mental health provider and never would say so. But, you know, it's life experiences and the journey that my own unfolding and the shedding of all those layers of pain have allowed me to show up to understand myself and to really want to be in a place of harmony with others, but also to be able to elevate others, to really speak to others, to find that connection within themselves and beyond, so that whatever that word may be, so that they find purpose and passion in every single day.
I love that. So many people think their purpose is wrapped up with their work.
Right.
But I don't think it is. I think the purpose is in an inside job.
I agree 1,000%, right? So for me, my job as a lawyer was all in my head, you know, right? No, great. I'm so pleased and honored by my career as a lawyer, but it's critical analytical thinking. This work is all from the heart. And when we're in heart coherence, that's when we are able to completely elevate to different space.
Oh, I love that. Oh, I can't wait to keep going with this conversation. Okay. All right, everybody. Please come back and join me back with Julie Wright Halbert after this short break.
Thank you.
Imagine a life where every day is fueled by energy, vitality, and purpose. Where age is just a number and your best years are always ahead. Hi, I'm Andy Nam, certified functional nutrition longevity coach, best-selling author, and international speaker. After reversing my own chronic health struggles, I'm now on a mission to help you live longer, stronger, and of course to look younger. I combine biohacking, cutting-edge nutrition, and stem cell technology to unlock your body's full potential. So no matter where your starting point is, I'm going to guide you toward a chronically healthy life. Ready to reverse aging and take control of your future? Connect with me today. Your journey to longevity starts here.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science, at longevity, at exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Hello, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. We are here with Transformational Soul Coach, Julie Wright Halbert. Hi, Julie. Here we are again.
Glad to be back.
So we were touching a little bit on purpose, and that maybe it isn't all wrapped up in our work. So I understand. I was a teacher, and it's a very intellectual, although there is a heart element involved, because you really got to love the kids if you're going to be a teacher.
Without a doubt.
But how would you define purpose?
You know what? It's a really great question. So if you were coming to me, and what I would recommend as far as looking, I was interviewing somebody yesterday about a gentleman regarding his purpose. And later in their career, all of a sudden, and listen, I'm in my 50s, but when you start to transition and say, okay, this is what I've achieved in my life, but this is not necessarily who I am. What is my purpose? So for me, I had done some work in Sedona, and what that actually was actually imprinted in our hands at 16 weeks in utero, some believe is like from a Sufism is like our divine purpose. And mine was the divine wisdom of the unknown, which is really embracing uncertainty. But I would say for the audience, for you to go on your own journey and to really figure out what that purpose is, there's some wonderful assessments that could be done. One thing that I'm a huge fan of is something that's called the Enneagram. Are you familiar with that?
Yes, I am.
So the Enneagram is something that I love to do with my clients. It's an opportunity to do self-discovery for personal, professional, your colleagues, as well as, whoever you're living with at home. So it gives you an opportunity. I think my kids are listening. I'll do a little call out, so for example, I am a 8, I'm a protector, and it's, everybody would say, everybody in my family, assertive, strong. So there's positives and there's negatives of all personality types. Very direct. Okay, nobody laugh out there. They're listening. But the bottom line is, what is my best traits? You learn on the Enneagram. When I become a giver, I go to what is called, there are 9 personality types. And it is a chart that goes back to many, many years of BCE time period. That's Sufi, Kabbalistic, Buddhist, going back many, many years. It's very sacred, actually. But many people use it today in the professional space. So in that way, as I'm saying, going from my head as a lawyer to my heart within the coaching space, I go to a 2 as a giver. And is as 2 on my best self. That's how the Enneagram explains it. So that we can look at, where do we go when we're in stress, when we are being challenged, and where do we go where we're actually rising? As my business is a rising phoenix, as when you actually rise, where am I my best self is when I'm in that heart space.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Is that on your website? Can you get it?
Absolutely. Well, it's something that I do with my clients, and I definitely could definitely upload. I recently spoke at the University of Maryland at a women's conference for women for this purpose. And I would be happy to share with your audience a whole program that I did on the Enneagram. It'd be my pleasure.
Okay. Yay. Thank you.
And those sons of mine that are probably listening, they'll have to be, my website experts will have to help me upload it, but we will do that. That'd be my pleasure.
Okay. Yes, I know I want to do it. I feel like I did it a long time ago, but I have no memory at all because I wasn't thinking about it in this way.
Right.
Like you said, a lot of times you use it for work and stuff in it, and we're always thinking about out here.
Not
So,
here.
not
Exactly.
here.
And what's really interesting about the Enneagram, certain types are types of the body, some are the heart, and some are the head. So, for example, actually, my partner, he's what's what we call an observer, a 5, and he's a critical analytical thinker. But people that are that analytical tend to withdraw at times because they are so brilliant and thinking so much. So there's all these positive traits, but also to see what your challenges are. And that's how you grow. And so it's a wonderful tool to use with purpose to understand kind of your connection to yourself and where kind of your roots are.
So your partner, that's his head. What's the shift when he goes to his heart?
Well, what's really interesting, actually, we are in the same line. So he actually goes to being a protector when he's like in his heart space. And he actually is a huge protector of the people he loves. And he's a huge caregiver, and that's very generous of heart. So yes, it's very interesting. So as he goes there, I go to a 2 of a giver. So it's so intriguing. You can learn so much. I learned so much about both of my children, about my family members, and really starting just to understand yourself and so many of your relationships. So it's really a great tool.
That makes sense. It could show you how you're aligned. You guys are aligned.
And it's just with everybody that you interact in your life. So the point being is when you talk about purpose, though, I like to use it just only as an introduction. It becomes just like a foundation to say, like, okay, here I am. How do I understand that I became interested in law, and how did I get there, right? And then to kind of see how my life has unfolded. So it's just so much is life experience and bringing it to others.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see you being what was the critical thinker? Protector. Yes, protect the accused that are innocent.
But honestly, I worked on civil rights for 30 years, representing disadvantaged youth in our nation's the Council of Great City Schools, representing 78 urban school districts. So I truly was definitely in that space of a protector and doing that work, very diligently. Federal court, U.S. Supreme Court, but that was then, and that goes more, in some ways, more of an ego space. And now in the heart space, it's really wanting to serve women, help people come out of grief, really be able to confront their losses and to move to live an intentional, meaningful life. So it's like I'm really coming to a life of service and really wanting to be in a very completely different space. And so that comes from me understanding myself and my purpose. And the goal is to do the same thing with my clients or a group of women at a retreat. It's really important.
Let's circle back to grief.
Sure.
I think grief is a extremely misunderstood thing. I know I've experienced this myself with during the COVID shutdown, which is a whole thing. My cousin, who is my age, died suddenly at work, just died. And his mother, my aunt, who I absolutely adored, died 4 days later. Wow. And my mother and I were in complete shock. It was like we just didn't even know what to do because we weren't allowed to go back to Wisconsin for the funerals. Okay. We weren't allowed to do anything except talk on the phone. And so it was just this weird void. And I got everything in between from, oh my God, can I do anything to support you, to, well, they're not your immediate family. So, get over it.
Oh, that's horrible.
Well, yeah. And it's, so there's such there's a
huge bandwidth, you're saying. And, I'm sure it sounds like you felt like really isolated and alone in that situation because you couldn't get to them. You couldn't touch them, feel them, or have that closure.
Right. And hug the family, hug the cousins, well, my uncle had passed many years before that, but the cousins who are now left, yes, we're all well into our adulthoods, but still, it's
You're
your
still
parents.
very young. You're very young, and it's family, and
Yeah.
we're never ready, right? And
Yeah.
I think so often that people that have been in grief, people don't know what to say. And I'd like to say this too, Christy. Nobody, no one chapter of our lives are the same as somebody else's. Me meeting you, say it's chapter 4. I don't know what happened in chapter 1, 2, and 3. And that grief that we experience is different, and it shows up in it could be financial losses. It could be, definitely death, like you're sharing, loss of family members, and also think about like just COVID and how we couldn't reach people that we loved, and that so many people lost people that they loved and couldn't say goodbye.
Yes. Yes. And the grief, and then, people will, our external world is just not.
Okay.
So,
You're really,
you need to.
I really care about a lot. I'm so glad. I hear you. I want to say it, right?
Yeah.
Our external world does not want to talk about death. Like we don't, there's so much fear around death that we don't embrace the process of dying. And one of my biggest beliefs, actually the subtitle of my book is The Journey of Dying and Living with Grace. But we should live because the fact that we die and know, whatever your beliefs may be, like I really believe we do reincarnate and there's a divine process, but that intention of understanding we should live every day, every moment with so much more meaning. I happen to be, Jewish, and there's a saying that says, Hineni, I am here. Or in the morning, there's a prayer that says, it's Moda'ani, like we recognize the blessing of a breath, like being able for our soul to breathe. And if we can come into every day and live that way, like that's my greatest gift and prayer for my children, is that they live every moment with meaning, so that it's not so much about death, but is that when we come to a place of transition, we embrace it in a different way. I'm actually doing a death doula certification with Alua Arthur in September, where I'm going to get my certification as a death doula. And I'm really looking forward to studying in this space. But our society is in desperate need of growth and expanding around understanding and supporting and being mindful around death.
I totally agree. And not fearing. There's nothing to fear. But we're so programmed within this matrix thinking that be afraid of everything. I mean, everything. I can't even watch TV. Everything is fear, fear, fear. Oh, you have a pain in your cheek, you have to take this drug, and and be afraid of it. It's
Your point of fear is really well taken, because it's like we were laughing the other day talking about, is it fear or is it fun? And if we can focus more on the fun and on the love and on the light, then we're really living, right? I mean, I love that, love, light, living, and it's just, that's embodying what really matters in life. And I believe, like, I say this again with my clients, like if we're in divine alignment, when you're living your soul purpose, Christy, when you're in your space that that you're living the life that you're intended to live, that's when everything opens. I mean, I have been so gifted to be in that space and been meeting like the most wonderful people in my life now. And it's all from embracing my true purpose.
That is wonderful. That's a lesson we could all benefit from. I mean, think how happy people would be if they could just relax and go within and get that connection and change. You can change your external world. It's all up to you. It's all a choice.
But you know what's so amazing though, Christy? It happens really in a very natural way, because when we're in that divine space and you're in your purpose, things just start to align. Beautiful people have come into my life. I'm learning and unfolding and growing with them and their guidance, and my own back to them in a sisterhood type of a way. And it's just, and the work, people just keep on every day. There's somebody new reaching out, and also, writing my story to share, to help others to elevate their lives. So it's so amazing to be in that space.
I love the name of your business, Rising Phoenix. That image is beautiful.
So much, it's just, I think that's the whole thing, right? We have to begin, we make the choice to rise. We come out of the ashes. And my husband, Jim, had said that he felt as though he was being held in the hands of God. And he wasn't a religious person before he passed, but he showed me his hands and he was so at peace. And so, for me, the symbolism of rising, coming out of the ashes was so important, because no matter what ashes may be brought into our lives, we have the opportunity to rise.
Absolutely. Well, technically, if we get critically thinking about this, when people, there's a whole thing now with burial where you can be a tree, and they plant a tree. They don't do all the toxic, poisonous, what's it called when they?
No, it's as far as your body or being
they
right.
preserve the body. They
Embalming.
Embalming. Thank you. I went blank on that word. But they put you, and then they plant a tree on you, and the tree, you can be a tree. And so ashes to ashes, and you're feeding the earth again. And
you know what? There's a whole, and I'm just learning as I'm learning about death doula. There's a woman, her name is Inoka Ranjita Ryan. She has a place called Your Heart's Home that we visited in Sedona. And part of what she teaches and she does as far as bringing death back into nature. And there's so many lessons about how we can choose. Also with a death doula, you can work with to learn and make choices about, what is the environment that you want to die in? Who do you want to be surrounded in? What is the environment like you're talking about, like as far as it really kind of honoring the transition of your body? There's so many, it's amazing. And I'm really just touching the surface of learning in this space, but there's a lot of really important lessons.
Oh, yes. This is way too big of a topic to touch on in a half an hour interview. but I'm really intrigued by the ideas here. It's because it's so, the whole time we've been talking, it's so gentle. It feels peaceful and gentle, and not go, set goals, take action, do this, do that, which can get a little frenetic.
I love that though, because, I've been guided to softness, and it's really embracing that space of really where we listen and we see each other and we hear each other. And so if that's a stranger in the grocery store or somebody who needs help across the street, it's all about that. I mean, my youngest son, I'll never forget, one day we were doing something and he just disappeared. And I'm like, honey, where'd you go? And he saw a homeless gentleman and he went to go get him food. So, when we take its acts of kindness as part of our heart, my husband, Jim, would say that his kindness, he believed his religion was kindness. And, that's what both of my children have, Jacob and William, have huge hearts. And that's everything. Yeah. That's my greatest legacy that I could leave behind to everyone that I touch, is may we be kind from our hearts to others.
Absolutely. Oh, Julie, I'm just loving this conversation. Tell us about your book.
Oh, sure. I'd be glad to. So
yes.
It's entitled The Divine Ashes Ascending. You see there, the journey of dying and living with grace. And it's really, I'm bringing the reader on a journey that sharing my story. It's not a memoir per se. It is my story, but to have going to a place of meditations and then didactic exercises. So it's a transformational healing tool for individuals to work through themselves and to work through whether it's grief or loss, but really to come out the other side and to embrace the life of living with a lot of meaning and intention.
And where can we find the book?
So the book is not done yet, but you can go, you have the QR code, which I've done a meditation in my opening meditation that I've shared, and people can sign up on the website to actually get information about the book and when it's available. So I am in the process of working towards an editor. That's how I connected to speaking with you, and then bringing the book to life. So I hope to bring it to print and to publish it by the end of this year. And actually, I would love to honor Jim's passing was December 6th, but my goal is really to work towards that time frame to release it.
Yeah. But, I completely forget about that every time I talk to you, that we originally were talking about that.
Don't you think that was divine? That's how we connected. That was all intended. Exactly. Exactly right.
So your website is risingphoenix.life?
Right, that's correct. But if they go to this QR code here, my son, Jacob, was a sweetheart. I bothered him immensely today, but I've been working on this meditation, and rather than paying somebody, I'm like, it will take you directly to meditation that opens for the book. Okay. And it really will take someone to going through your own ashes into what you are becoming, and to really feel into that space for yourself. So I encourage your listeners to go to download the meditation as a gift from me. You can sign up for information to get the book, and happy to provide services.
Excellent. Well, how can they reach you? How can they find you if they want to just reach out to you?
Feel free to email me and I'll respond to anybody. It'd be my pleasure.
All right. Julie at risingphoenix.life.
You got it.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show today. It's been a wonderful conversation.
You know what? I'm so blessed to have met you, and I'm so grateful to be here. So I thank you for the opportunity.
Our pleasure. All right, everybody, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Kids Corner. This week's Traveling with Kids tip for summer travel is all about pool safety. In my younger days, I was a lifeguard and a swimming instructor. I spent a lot of time around pools, lakes, and oceans. And I'm going to bust a couple of the myths that people believe about being in the water. The biggest one is that parents will take their eyes off their children, and we're talking young children here. Older children who can swim real well around a pool are probably okay. But younger children, the myth is that they will hear the child calling for help. That is wrong, because if you can hear your child calling for help, it means their head is above the water and they can breathe. So drowning means that they are under the water, and you can't hear them if they're under the water. So don't take your eyes off your kids. If they're under the water and they're not coming up, go get them and get them fast, because that is not safe, as we all know. And I have to, the second myth around a pool is the kids get excited and they want to run. And the reason the lifeguards are always screaming, please don't run, please walk, is because the decks tend to get slippery. I have seen kids go down, their foot goes right out from under them and they go down. I've seen broken teeth, broken jaws, head wounds. It is not safe. Just train your kids. I know you're going to get excited and it's fun to be around the pool, and it is, but we walk when we are on the deck, because that's a big deal. We do not want injuries. We want everybody to be safe, have fun, and be happy at the end of the day. All right. Ciao for now, everybody.
The time has come for us, the parents who want more for their children and the teachers who want to love teaching again, to band together and stop the coercion and control and the crazy-making boredom. How? By making learning a joyful experience in a relaxed environment. By supporting and encouraging kids, not forcing or tricking them. Meet Christy Boyd Johnson and the Barefoot Learning Club membership. Go to www.barefootlearningclub.com and find out more. Together, we can raise a generation of wildly capable and happy kids.
Welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life show. What an amazing interview. And it was very interesting. You know, me and Minna were always sitting in the back, listening into the conversation and learning from our coaches. And no one ever talks about death. But, you know, it is a scary topic.
It's a tough issue, right?
Yeah.
No one ever wants to talk about it, and always related to sadness, loss,
Exactly.
all things bad. And in reality, it depends on how you look at it.
Exactly. You know, the grief part of it is so important. Like she says, you know, so a lot of people associate grief with just death, but there's so much grief in different things too. Death of a loved one, you know, your animals, your kids, but, you know, also relationships, right? You know, if you're parting relationships or even losing your job, you know, a lot of grief there. And it just puts things in a different perspective. I think it was, you know, it's refreshing.
It is. I mean, we deal with a lot of losses over our lifetime. You know, us in the 50s, we lost a lot.
Yes.
But no one ever taught you how to deal with it emotionally.
Correct.
And, you know, everything no one ever talked about. So it's great and refreshing to have someone actually, you know, tell us what to do about it.
Exactly. So everyone, please scan that QR code, you know, download her meditation. It's going to lead, like she's saying, you know, it's going to lead towards her book, which, you know, we're looking forward to seeing too. That's supposed to be released by, hopefully by her December 6th.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
Right. But anyways, next week we have a great guest that I just met recently, and he's all about brain health and all the, you know, it's going to be an interesting conversation, because we're going to talk about all the things that's been he's been seeing in the last 3-4 years that's associated with the brain. So it's
Okay, and
Def-
it's different from Vince, who's like Dr. Amen.
yes, he's different from a brain coach from coaching. He actually looks at the analytical blood labs and then starts going from there. So he looks at everything from a scientific point of view, and they have like the medical doctors and everything to work together with. So it's going to be definitely a different way of looking things, and I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, so he's like you, but he's for the brain. So you look
Yes.
at brain brain labs, blood labs for our body's health.
Yes.
And honestly, so he loves the brain. Okay,
Yes.
that's interesting.
Yes,
Okay.
it's going to be definitely an interesting conversation. So that's it for this week's Chronically Healthy Life show. Thank you for sharing this space with us. We're so honored to be part of your journey toward healing, hope, and longevity. Join us again Friday at 7 p.m. CST on e360tv.com on the Vitality TV network. Or, of course, you can watch replays on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life.
And we will see you next week.
We'll see you next week.